This game uses licensed music, so I decided to just mute it because I don't want to have my videos flagged. Bitmap Brothers acquired a reputation for releasing high-quality games. Not to everyone's liking, but the quality of their games was undeniable. And I would argue that the two games that made them gaming-wise household names was the original Speedball and this game, Xenon 2 Megablast. The original Xenon was a vertical shoot 'em up, much like this one, but in honesty, I found it to be rather generic and outright boring. Xenon 2, though, took whatever Xenon was and amped it up to 11. You start off with your craft being rather sluggish, but the first two power-ups you can unleash even by shooting those supply units are speed-ups, and the two speed-ups you get will definitely make your life a lot more comfortable. You can buy more later on, but technically you don't really need much more than the two. I personally don't like going for more than two. You also got a rear shot granted. The game will give you items from time to time, health refills or shield recharge if you want, extra weapons, and from time to time a smart bomb. But most of the weapons you will have to eventually buy in a shop. And you've probably noticed that when waves are defeated, they will leave those bubble-like whatever behind, which are basically coins. In this game they're called real cash, because, yeah, fancy, funky. I am quite a fan of the mechanic that you get coins for defeating enemies, but I'm not a fan of the mechanic where you can lose out on set coins. I can easily see it as part of the gameplay loop, but personally I am not a fan of it, especially not when it means that you can actually lose coins because you can't access them, or because they just fall out of the bottom of the screen. And in the case of Xenon 2, the coin bubbles will stay on screen for about 2 to 3 seconds before they fall out of the bottom of the screen. It means, of course, that when you reach the shop, if you haven't cleared enough waves to generate the coins and you haven't picked up the coins, your shopping trip can be rather short-lived and boring. By now, so you don't have to pick up every single coin, you can get away with picking up the majority, but you will definitely need to be aware of it. Entering the shop, there's a shop halfway through a stage and at the end of a stage, and you can sell the equipment you've purchased or picked up, and then you can buy other equipment. But on this first stage, there's precious little you can buy, so I'm just going to buy a Super Nasman Power, which is a 10-second buff that gives you basically as much firepower as your vessel can handle. Not entirely true, but it's a quite a dramatic amount of firepower, and it is basically, more so than anything else, a showcase of what you can achieve later on in the game. From a technical point of view, this game's overall quality is surprisingly high considering its age. The graphics, while maybe not to everyone's liking, is of a very high quality. The sound design, I've mentioned the music is licensed music, so you won't be hearing that in this video, but the sound effects are very, very satisfying, and I do like that you actually can hear you're blowing things up and you're not wondering whether someone recorded a fart in a bubble bath. One thing to mention, and I think it deserves to be mentioned, is that irrelevant of how much is on the screen at any given time, irrelevant of how much firepower you can pack, this game doesn't suffer from any slowdowns. I have not once noticed a single bit of flickering or slowdown in this game, which is something a lot of later games could not exactly claim. So in that regard, from a pure technical point of view, it is a rock solid game. The gameplay though, and this is going to be a love it or hate it thing, basically. The first level, you will find that there's surprisingly few enemies that actually shoot at you, which seems a bit interesting for a shoot 'em up, I suppose. But then again, at the same time, you don't have an awful lot of firepower yourself, so I think the game has been balanced out that until you get more destructive power, the enemies will not throw an awful lot of crap at you. But the enemies throw themselves at you, which is more than enough crap for the first level. Something I'm not exactly the greatest fan of is the fact that the enemy waves tends to enjoy coming from the bottom of the screen, i.e. behind you, and yeah, I'll take it, but I'm not a fan personally. The thing is though that even though level 1 gives you that false sense of security because not an awful lot of stuff is shooting at you, as you enter level 2, you will suddenly find that there's an awful lot of firepower coming your way. But you should also have access to more firepower, so I suppose it sort of evens out. The main issue is, in order to get the full enjoyment out of the game, which is to build up a huge amount of firepower, you need to get good. And I'm not saying that in a mocking sense, it's a fact, because as you progress further into the game, you will unlock more items in the shop, and you will gain more real cash in order to spend in the shop on said items. So basically, in order to get the full enjoyment out of the available firepower, you need to reach level 3 or 4. First boss, by the way, not exactly the most complicated thing in the world. By and large, I don't think most bosses are of any major challenge. They have a weak spot that you have to find, and once found, they by and large do not offer an awful lot of challenge. The main challenge is the game itself. The game's levels are quite large, and the environment, while it will not destroy you flying into the environment, you can find yourself trapped. And of course, if the screen scrolls past your ship, you lose a life. There's something that needs to be mentioned as well, is the fact that you can actually fly backwards, somewhat limited during the levels, but especially against bosses, this is something that becomes quite necessary in order to navigate around the bosses' areas, platforms, whatever. All in all, though, as shoot 'em up goes, Xenon 2 is distinctively unique. It's unique because of its quality, it's unique because of its firepower, and it may probably not be to everyone's taste, and it may be too difficult for some, but I still believe it belongs in the Amiga's Shoot 'em Up Hall of Fame. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.